Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's CPD on type of contract. Hopefully, today we are going to learn a very important topic, that is type of contract. So let's go to the subject today quickly. So as we discussed in the last CPD, I was explaining why I was introducing the advanced QS practice and contracts management in order to build the 1000 MRICS within the short span of time. So we have had a very detailed discussion, and we went in depth and we studied everything in the last CPD. In case somebody missed the previous CPD, anyhow, don't worry. After attending today's CPD, I will attach that video recording also. Maybe whoever missed, you can go through what we have discussed in the last CPD about this program. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's go to the program. So what we are going to discuss under today's topic, as you know, this is the entire syllabus of the advanced QS practice and contract management. There we are going to discuss about the type of contract. Okay, so what we are going to discuss, type of contract. Under the type of contract, we had a lump sum contract. Under the lump sum contract, we had a three different payment mechanism. We will see in depth what is that. Okay. Then we will have to discuss about the measure and value, or sometimes called remeasurable contract. And there we had a total three different variant, so that it could be divided into two major category. One is based on the schedule of rate. There we had a standard schedule and the ad hoc schedule, and the second one based on BOQ from the previous similar contract. In the last one, we have to discuss cost reimbursement, sometimes called as a cost plus or prime cost contract. There we had a totally four variant. So majorly it could be divided into three. So one is based on cost reimbursement. So cost reimbursement, the based on cost reimbursement had a two subcategory plus target cost and the GMP. So these are the three type of contract we have to understand properly. If you don't understand this type of contract, then it is going to be a nightmare for all the quantity surveyor to deal with the payment variation and the claims which is already existed in the construction industry. Okay, so before today I think today probably we are able to cover only that lump sum contract, because I wanted to go very depth in order to give the right knowledge. And the second part, the measure and value contract and the cost reimbursement, we will do it by this coming Tuesday, in day after tomorrow. Okay, so there we will have a lot of knowledge and great idea. You will all feel satisfaction. Okay, this particular topic is well covered for your knowledge. Now, are you hearing me very well? Some people are saying no sound. Is that audible? Please confirm. If it is audible, say audible. Thank you. So what we are now today going to discuss, the lump sum contract in depth. Okay, and the balance part, measure and value, and the cost reimbursement we will discuss in the next class. So you will have very good deeper knowledge. Okay, and second thing, after learning about the lump sum contract, we have to have the broader idea why. Okay, this knowledge very important in order to become a RICS. We will see with the RICS pathway guidance, and you will get some great idea. Okay, so let's go to the type of contract. Now, lump sum contract, we have to understand what is a lump sum contract. Okay, without understanding, it is going to be a big trouble, and it is going to be a practically issue for many QS how to deal with the lump sum contract. Then you have to have the good idea about the other type of contract that will be discussed in the next CPD. Okay, so lump sum contract is a payment method. So what is that payment method? So contractor agrees to complete a specific scope of work for an agreed lump sum price within the specified time period to carry out all the work included in the contract documents. Let us understand this particular sentence. Okay, so it says lump sum contract for a specific scope of work. So my question, if somebody want to give a defined price, which is lump sum, defined price means lump sum price. Is the specific scope of work must be defined or not? What do you think? Oh, let's go in a different angle. Okay. Say for example, you are a passenger. Okay, you are a passenger. You are going to travel from city A to B. City A to B. Okay. So you are going to hire a taxi. Simple example. Okay. Very simple example. You can understand what I'm trying to say. You can hire the taxi. So where you are going to travel from city A to B? What is your scope of work from city A to B? Now let me ask you, city A and B, there are so many locations, right? Do you want to specifically say from this point to that point? We can't say blindly city A to B, right? We have to say in city A which landmark and city B which landmark. So you have to define the point. So what is the now scope of work? The driver need to take you from the landmark from city A to landmark in the city B. Now the scope of work is well defined. So can the taxi driver can give you the defined price for this journey? What do you think? Yes, it is possible to negotiate, isn't it? Now let me ask you a question. You are the taxi driver, okay, not a passenger. Now the passenger say the city A we are starting from this particular landmark, but when we reach the city B, I have to go here, there. I don't know where to go. Maybe I have to go here and there. Okay, so many places he is pointing. Now, as a taxi driver, can you give a defined price? Because city B destination is blur now. It's not clear. So is it possible? No. Another example. Okay. Now you call for a contractor. Contractor, you have to build me this particular villa or small construction unit. Okay, say villa, and you are defining the scope of work very well. So contractor giving the price for you. Later on, you come and say, look, if I am building the swimming pool, right? Swimming pool next to the villa, it will be very nice. So can you do within the same price what we agreed? Now, what do you say as a contractor? No. So what is the problem here? You have to give the defined scope of work. Then only the lump sum price will work. If you change the scope of work, what will happen? The price will change. So therefore, lump sum price, contractor agrees to complete a specific scope of work. Okay, for an agreed lump sum price. So now, can the contractor do something extra work which is not mentioned in the scope of work in the post contract? Is it possible? No, it is a variation. Okay, so everybody, you might have a lot of questions. Just listen. Okay, what I'm saying. End of the lecture, you will get very good clarity. So all the questions, keep it in mind and listen carefully. Okay, so now that is how it works. Now let us understand second point. What is that? Okay, this form of contract commonly used in the FIDIC yellow or silver book. Okay, in terms of pricing. Now we know what is a form of contract, condition of contract. Mostly in Gulf, we are practicing either red or yellow. Okay, mostly. In some extent, we have the silver and other books also. So the FIDIC yellow standing and for the lump sum contract. Okay. What about the red book? The red book standing for remeasure contract. So if you understand the condition of contract, which is originally made by the FIDIC, Okay, they have the different variant. So FIDIC yellow standing originally for a lump sum contract, whereas FIDIC red book standing for measure and value contract. My question now: can we change the red book to the lump sum contract? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but you have to change. You have to amend the certain condition of contract within the red book. Then only we can do that one. Now, let us understand the first point again. You have a FIDIC red book, okay, which is purely a condition of contract standing for a remeasure or measure and value contract. Okay, can we say that price is the defined price in the red book, original red book? Can we say that is a defined price? That is the thing you have to think. Okay, why? In the red book, the design, okay, done by the employer, and the price under the remeasure contract, the quantities are approximate, not accurate. Okay, so it is at the end measure and paid. So many people misunderstanding when we are signing the FIDIC red book under the remeasure contract. Okay, that total sum is a lump sum. Is it right? No, that total sum not a lump sum. That total sum which is signed under the red book, it's a approximate sum. Okay, not even you can say contract sum. It is subject to change at the last. Now let us come to the again the first point. So if the contractor wanted to give the lump sum price, the client needed to give the defined scope of work, right? If the client unable to give the defined scope of work, do you think contractor able to say the defined price? What do you think? No. In other way, if any project, the design or scope of work is not well established, then it is not possible to go for a lump sum contract. Okay, that is a very key understanding. You must all have it. So let us have with that one. Let us have some more discussion. This lump sum contract concept coming from the JCT actually, because in this part of the world we are using the FIDIC form of contract. Okay, but JCT, they have the with quantities and without quantities. Okay, there's documents available. They are only originated, but that concept, okay, utilized and well established in other form of contract as well. So in the lump sum contract or lump sum project, only the price can alter by variation. Now what is that? In the first point, say for example, we went for a villa construction or small house construction, and the swimming pool was not part of the contract, but employer at the end, he need to build the swimming pool. Now my question is, the contractor will do with the agreed price in the original contract sum, or do he need extra money to do the work? He need the extra money, right? Yes. Same way, the taxi driver drop you in the point B, okay, the landmark. Now from there you want to go here, there, okay, some other places. That is additional. So that is called, what is that called? How we call professionally that word? Any changes in the scope work? Variation. Okay. So that is how anything, okay, change in the scope of work treated as a variation. Okay. So therefore, in the lump sum contract, cost certainty is there. When you are signing the contract, the cost certainty is there. But that cost certainty only will be changed by the variation or any other claim. Otherwise, that amount will be same as it is. Okay. And remember this point. The lump sum contract work would not remeasured. Very important point. Now let me ask you the same question. the city A landmark and city B landmark. You agreed say $1,000, okay, from city A to B, that particular landmark to landmark, $1,000. Now when you get down on city B, how much you are going to pay? How much? 1,000, right? Is there any change? Is there any change in the price? No. Now let me ask you, after you get down from the city B, you are trying to see the meter. Okay, let's pay under the meter. How much distance I will pay per meter? Is it agreeable? Will you pay as per the distance he traveled? It is also practice, right? Paying on the meter. Okay, how much you win? Is it agreeable? Is that you agreed in when you are signing the lump sum contract? Yes or no? No. You will not agree. Definitely. This is not what we agreed. We are not about to remeasure the distance, whatever we traveled. We agreed $1,000 from the city A landmark to B. You pay what we agreed. Now let me ask you in the construction. You agreed a project under the lump sum contract. Once the work done, contractor requested by the employer, okay, let's calculate all the quantity again. Is it right practice? It is not a right practice, because many people confused with the remeasure and the lump sum. The work will be remeasured under the remeasure contract, not under the lump sum contract. Why? You agreed the scope of work and you define the scope of work and you define the price. Once the job done, you have to pay a complete amount. So this is what, ladies and gentlemen, you have to keep remember the simple story I say to you. You travel from city A to B, you pay lump sum amount, that's it. That's what you agreed. Okay. So in lump sum contract, any projects are awarded, you don't remeasure the work. If the work is done, okay, you get all the money, whatever you agreed in the contract amount. It is not subject to remeasure unless otherwise you heard some modification or variation happen. That is something subject to agree the payment, but the original scope of work not subject to remeasure. And in the lump sum contract, the payment mechanisms are okay. Even the lump sum, the payment arrangements are either milestone or stage payment. Okay, probably I supposed to have one more CPD on the construction payment. Okay, arrangement, not the mechanism, payment arrangement. But let's see. Okay, let's do the type of contract properly. If we had a time, we will do. Okay, that is very important. So even though you have the lump sum contracts, a payment mechanism, the arrangement could be done either milestone or stage payment, that we will discuss in the another CPD. What is that exactly? But let us understand this lump sum contract very clearly now. Okay, so in the lump sum contract, what is the advantage? It is common. Okay, it's common. You have to give the complete information. That means you are defining the scope of work. So all the bidders, okay, all the contractors pricing for the lump sum, they will price with the same information. So when they have the competitiveness, the client getting the best price, okay, because of the competitive between the bidders. And the cost certainty, because you have defined the scope of work. So the contractor defined the price, that is lump sum. So cost certainties, they are in the contract. Therefore, it is financial risk transferred to the contractor. Therefore, employer have the low financial risk. Any cost risk bear with the contractor, not with the employer. Okay. So therefore, what happened? The contractor trying to complete the project a little bit early. Why? Say for example, contractor agree the project to complete within 12 months. Okay, 12 months. It is a villa project, assume. If the contractor completed work by the 11th month, will you pay all the amount or not? Is there any doubt you will not pay anything if you done the work? You will pay. You can't say, okay, that is a wrong argument. Many people now confused with the measure and value. When the contractor finish the work by 11 months, what is the scope of work? Villa or house construction. Is it done? Yes. How much agreed? Same amount you have to pay him. No argument. Okay. No argument. Many people argue on that one in the industry and unnecessarily went for a dispute and wasted the time, money, relationship breaking, useless. So carefully. If the work done earlier, also you have to pay all the amount. Now, if the work done earlier, contractor have the kind of saving on his operational cost? Yes or no? Yes. What kind of saving? Preliminaries. Mostly preliminaries. Right? Site office overhead and the head office overhead. Salaries for the staff, rental, right? Any other payments, right? For the all the things are for a 1 month is a big amount. So if they are completing early, they are getting the benefit. That benefit goes to the contractor, not for the employer. Okay, if he complete, so therefore they are motivated to finish the project. Program certainty is there because since the scope of work is well defined, the time for completion also well defined. Now let me ask you. Let's go back to the same example. City A landmark, city B landmark. Since you know that point A and B exact location, can we calculate the time for arrival? How much time to reach the destination? It is in nowadays in the Google Map also it's so no approximately how much time it will take. Same thing in the lump sum contract. When you define the scope of work, not only the cost certainty, the time certainty, that means the program certainty also defined well because it is easy for them. Now let me ask you reverse gear question. If you don't define the scope of work, is it possible to give the time certainty? No, not possible. Okay, so that is not possible. That is one of the advantage in the lump sum contract. Cost certainty is there. GMB, time being, let's not discuss about the GMB. You will understand in the next class what is the GMB. Okay, so time being, leave it. When you after learn the GMB, when you come and read this one, you will understand. But we had a lot of disadvantage also in the lump sum contract. Number one, if you want to have the cost certainty and the time certainty, do you need to define the scope of work? Yes or no? Yes, you have to design. You have to give the design, specification, pricing preamble, everything. Will it take time? Will it take time to complete the design? Yes. It takes a lot of time. So you have to wait. You must have the time to prepare all the documents. If you don't have time to prepare the document, then you cannot go for it. Sometime full design may be not achievable. Some portion of the design may be not fully achievable. Let me ask you in that way. If the say 90% of the contract is well defined, but 10% of some works are like a finishes or some other lift installation or some provisional some works are not defined. Is it possible that contractor can give you the defined price? Say 90% is done, but 10% only not completed. Is it possible to give the defined price? What do you think? No, right? Because that undefined post, right, position, it is possible. Okay, after it is defined only. Okay, so 90% of the work, okay, it could be go under the defined, which is 10% will not go under the defined. So that is treated as what? What is the standard word we are using for undefined works in the lump sum contract? Or something not sure whether we are going to do or not. What is a standard word? Anyone? Yes, provisional sum. Okay, provisional. Leave it for right now. Let's do. So if it is happened, you are not going to have the full design. So cost certainty and the time certainty will be compromised in the later part. Sometimes some part of the design may be not done by the employer, where the contractor involvement is needed. That is will go under the CDPS. What is that CDPS called? Contractor design portion supplement. That means some part of the project may be contractor, specialized contractor, okay, maybe need to work. So that portion also, after define the particular area only, you can have the cost and time certainty. So if you having the undefined area in your lump sum contract, that undefined area not going to be a lump sum, okay, contract. It will be treated later as a provisional sum and variation. Okay, so that is how you got some provisional sum under the lump sum contract. So since you transfer the financial risk to the contractor, now let's go to the same example what we discussed about the taxi driver. Okay, say what happened, city A to B, landmark to landmark, we agreed, but in between the route diversion happened. Okay, on the way highway is blocked or something happened, then the taxi driver need to take the longer route. Okay, who is now bearing the risk, taxi driver or passenger? What do you think? Driver, definitely, right? Why? This is not agreed by the client or as a passenger. You agreed, you want to take me from this location to city B location, that's it. Whatever in between, it is your risk. Okay, I'm not going to bear the risk. Therefore, this is what happened in the lump sum contract. Any cost risk coming, say for example, inflation happen. Sometimes the lump sum contract, we have the fixed price lump sum contract. Inflation not given. Some contract given, some contract not given. Okay. So the cost risk associated with the lump sum contract always goes to the contractor. Therefore, what contractor will do? If you transfer the financial risk to the contractor, what he is going to do? He will add the risk premium. He will definitely price the risk like a risk contingency. Say maybe around your contract sum is 100 million. Let's give 5 million for a risk contingency. Any unknown situation happen? Okay, we can use that amount. Are you all able to hear me very well? Audible? Please confirm audible. Okay, so other people listening, they can. Okay, so thank you for the confirmation. So now the contractor, if you transfer the risk toward the contractor will price the risk. Therefore, who's paying the risk now? Ultimately, who's going to pay the risk again? Tell me. Employer, okay, client. So even remember the taxi driver, he also know maybe route diversion can happen. So I will ask including all. If that happen, I can ask extra money from the passenger. So I will ask $1,000 including all route diversion or whatever happening, okay, in between. So this is how the contractor pricing his work. Cost risk, okay, with the contractor. Time risk with the contractor. Who's having the design risk? Subjective, okay. If you given the design risk with the contractor under the traditional design and build procurement route, and the design risk with the contractor under the traditional procurement route, it is with the employee. So that is subjective. Whatever the risk you have transferred to the contractor under the lump sum, that will be priced, and you will, as the client, you will the one paying the risk contingency to the contractor. So therefore, it is one of the disadvantage to the client. Client is the one ultimately paying for the all risk. It is happening. Have you had an experience in between? Okay, you want to have the route diversion, okay, or something, you have to have some stops or breaks or some other purchase. Okay, in between you are traveling from city A to B. Some driver will play the game. Right now you are changing our agreement. We never agreed that we stop in between. Okay, we never agree that we will go here and there in between. So I need more money. Is that right? If the taxi driver had a right to ask that one. If you change the way it's going to be. Yes. Same thing, any changes happen, okay, in between, that is treated as a variation, you have to pay. That is costly. Most of the driver will ask more money. Okay, same thing happening in the lump sum. Okay, we'll understand why. Okay, that is the reason we have to understand why it is happening. The client can be penalized if major, okay, changes are introduced. If you are changing the scope of work or more introducing the variation, then it is not worthy to go for a lump sum. That is how, if you are going for a lump sum, you must have the defined scope of work. Otherwise, you don't go for a lump sum. Okay, and quality of the work, you have to have the very good performance specification. Okay, QA QC procedure, all the things you should have it very properly. Otherwise, the contractor will go for a lowest as possible methodology to deliver the project. Okay, do you understand? Now let me ask you another question. You call them say transport company. We are talking about the taxi driver. No, you call the transport company. I want to travel from city A to B. Okay, what is your objective now? Tell me. You want to travel from city A to B. Is that your objective? And you agree the price for the $1,000. Okay. Now let me ask you. If you don't define the vehicle, which one you are going to travel, you are thinking maybe he will bring the car. Okay. Normally Uber is car, no? But he is coming with the motorbike. What will you do now? Are you able to challenge it now? Is it possible? Why? It is not possible. Your requirement, okay, your scope of work, you want to travel from city A to B. That's it. You don't talk about what kind of vehicle you want. Same thing, ladies and gentlemen. In the lump sum contract, you have to be very careful with the quality. You have to define the quality of the works. Otherwise, the contractor will go for a lowest methodology. So that is how, okay, you might get the sometime quality, less quality product, because contractor try to achieve the minimum required quality, because he can have the cost saving, right? Let me ask you, traveling a city A to B by car and by motorbike, which is economical? Which is economical? Bike or car? Bike is economical. Which is uncomfortable for a passenger? Bike, isn't it? Not the car. So definitely you have to be very careful with the lump sum contract. If you don't define the scope of work very clearly, you are not going to be happy at the end. Okay, so this is the characteristic of the lump sum contract. Now let's learn some variant under the lump sum contract. Okay, so still what you have understood, some idea about the lump sum contract. Okay, now we are going to discuss about some characteristic. There are three variants theoretically under the lump sum contract. The third variant, okay, I will tell you at the end of the lecture. That is not a correct theory. Okay, not a correct theory. The first and second one is a right theory. Third one is not a right theory, but third one we will understand why it is not a right theory and why it was introduced, and because of the third one, what happened. We will see. So now let us go and understand the lump sum contract variant. The number one, based on drawing and specification. Okay. So what we are going to now discuss? The lump sum contract based on drawings and specification. So since you people understand the lump sum contract, what happened under this particular type of lump sum contract? You have to give the complete scope of work. That means you have to give the design, drawings, right? Specifications, pricing preamble, everything you have to give very clearly. Then the contractor taking those complete drawing and the specification and whatever the other contract document, and they will give the price only. Look, you give the drawings, specification, everything. This is the job I need to get done, and contractor give the pricing. Do you understand what I'm talking here? Let me say in a simple example. Okay, you want to build a perimeter wall in your house. What is a perimeter wall? Surrounding your house, you are going to build the wall. Okay, perimeter wall. So you just give the drawing to your local contractor. He come and see the drawing. Okay, I understood. This is my price. Say, okay, 100,000 is my price. You agreed? Okay, let's do the work. Once he done the work, you are going to pay all the amount, right? This is what we agreed. Okay, what is missing here? The lump sum contract based on drawing and specification. There's a no BOQ here. Do you understand? No BOQ. That is the one missing. But in this particular scenario, if the projects are very small, like building the perimeter wall or building a small well, right, or painting a house, sometimes you are painting the house time to time, right, for a decorative purpose. Do you need really a BOQ? Is it important for a small work, minor work? What do you think? Is it really worthy to have the BOQ and prepare the BOQ for those work? Not much really, because it's a small work, no? So that is the characteristic of the lump sum contract based on drawing and specification. You don't need the BOQ. Give me the full design and specification, and I will give you my price. Once we agree that, contract is formed. So what is the advantage now? Everybody tell me what is the advantage. You might have the good idea now. Okay, it saves time for preparing the BOQ, right? Very good. What else? Yes, the both parties in the contract, they have the clear commitment. Contractor know what is the job to be done and how much he will get paid. Client also know what he want and what is he need to pay for the contractor, right? So that is very clear. That is advantage. Second thing, you don't need to waste the time to prepare the BOQ, because the time preparing for the BOQ is also time consuming, plus cost also associated with the consultant. You have to pay for that in order to prepare the BOQ. So that cost is eliminated, right? So the less time to prepare the tender document is another benefit. Okay. But what is the disadvantage now? Yes, what is the disadvantage? There is a disadvantage. What is the problem here? No BOQ. Since no BOQ, okay, you don't have the breakdown of the cost. You don't have the breakdown of the cost. Therefore, treating the variation, okay, become a big problem. You don't have the price agreement within the contract. There's no unit rate. Every changes you have to agree the rate. So therefore, this lump sum contract suitable maybe for a small work. Okay, small works, that's fine. Is it suitable for a big construction? Do you understand? Is it suitable for a big construction? No, this is not a big, a suitable one. It is a big disaster if you go any project without BOQ. Therefore, what is the lesson learned here? Lump sum contract based on drawing specification. What is the big lesson learned here? What is the lesson learned? Everybody. What we have learned from here? What is the problem here? Absence of the BOQ. That is a problem, right? We have to have the BOQ. So therefore, the next lump sum contract methodology was introduced. That is lump sum contract based on bill of firm quantity. Now let me ask you a question. If you have the bill of firm quantity, firm is defined, right? Is accurate quantity, isn't it? So if you want to have the accurate quantity, what do you want? In principle, what do you want? You need a full design, yes, specification. So this is kind of a upgraded version of the previous methods. Okay, this is how the construction industry developed, ladies and gentlemen. They got the lesson learned, they introduced the second one. Then when they got the second lesson learned, they introduced the third one. The third one introduced fourth, fifth. Likewise only, we can understand throughout the type of contract lecture series how one methodology introduced the next methodology and following methodology. There are chainage, there are link, connection between each methodology. So now we understood lump sum contract based on bill of firm quantities, okay, introduced because of the absence of the quantity in the lump sum contract based on drawing and specification. So under this variant, you have to have the design, complete design should be done. Okay, once you done the design, the quantity surveyor prepare the BOQ, right, based on the complete detailed drawing and specification. Okay, now I have the question. Do you know which quantity surveyor not going to prepare this BOQ? Answer 1, 2, 3. Which quantity surveyor not? Okay. Many people misunderstood the question. Not. So which one? Everybody. Okay. My question is, which quantity surveyor not going to do this task, preparing the BOQ? Many people answering right, but some people still not. Now let me ask you another question to answer this. Are we preparing the BOQ before floating the tender, right? Are we preparing the BOQ before floating the tender, isn't it? So it is called pre-contract. Pre-contract stage, contractor quantity surveyor is there or not? In generally, what do you think? Contractor QS, in generally, no, he is not at come. He will come when you float the tender. So mostly, okay, this BOQ will be prepared by either consultant QS or client QS, sometimes called employer QS. Okay, not the contractor QS. Okay, so that's what I asked the question. So once the BOQ is prepared by the consultant or employer QS, now contractors are invited and price the bill of quantity and submit their offer. That is called tender. Okay, so if you see here in this particular lump sum contract, the quantities and the units are already there. Any variation comes, you can use the rate to price the variation. But very carefully you have to listen that any rates, okay, in the lump sum contract subject to challenge. We will see that one in the later part. Okay, so therefore, but somehow the rates are kind of a benchmark for you to agree the new varied item, but subject to challenge. It is not a remeasure contract. But anyhow, we have the rates and the quantity. Okay, so it is part of the contract, and the design should be completed before signing the contract. Okay, so since the bill of quantities are very firm, okay, once the work is done, do we need to remeasure it? When you are going for a interim payment application or final account, do we need to remeasure it? No. This is what we said, okay, in the story. It is not subject to remeasure. You agreed, scope of work done, price is agreed, no more remeasurement. It is not a remeasure contract. That we will discuss in the next lecture series. What is a remeasure contract? Okay, so it is very simple. So the contractor is paid for the quantities given in the bill of quantity. Okay, unless there is a variation, you have to agree the new price. So therefore, the variation only going to change the contract price. Okay, not the original contract sum. Okay, so therefore you see that one. You see this one. very carefully, okay, we understood the scope of work very carefully, okay, well defined in order to go for this particular lump sum contract. Okay, otherwise you cannot, okay, do any scope of work under the lump sum contract if you are, okay, not having your complete drawing or specification. Okay, now if you see the lump sum contract based on bill of firm quantity, yes, advantage is almost same, but one added advantage is a detailed breakdown of the tender sum is now readily available. Therefore, any variation, you can use this rate in order to evaluate the variation. But now what is the disadvantage? You have to wait longer pre-contract period because you have to complete the drawing, then specification and pricing, okay, like BOQ, pricing document like a BOQ plus all the other tender document. So it will take a longer time to prepare the all the documents. So it is, if the client don't have much time to wait, then this is not the right way to go for a lump sum contract. And another problem, if you are changing or introducing the major changes to the works, then it's going to be a problem. It is variation, and the variation will be always difficult. Now you might have the question, why we have already the rate, why we cannot agree the price for the variation? Okay, that we are going to discuss, because you will understand that is not going to work as efficiently what it is do in the remeasure contract. So now we understood what is a lump sum contract, a second methodology based on the bill of firm quantities. Okay, now before I jump to the questions, the third methodology, after finishing the question, we will discuss why the third one is not appropriate and how it is impacted. Okay, so now let's have some questions. Before you answering the question, everybody listen carefully. Whatever you practice now in the construction industry, forget about that. Okay, now whatever you understood from now today lecture, you keep that knowledge only and answer. Okay, because the practice may be wrong what you are doing, but I am giving today that information and the knowledge is a right way to deal this lump sum contract. So using that knowledge only you are going to answer. Do you understand everybody what I am saying here? Okay, I'm going to ask the question. Okay, so use the knowledge what you have just now gained from this, okay, discussion. Now read this question carefully and answer me properly. Take your time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, no problem, but answer carefully. Okay. Okay, everybody try to answer. Okay, so you can understand whether you are in a good level or bad level, right? So you can answer either A, B, C, D, or E, any of them. Okay. I would see all the different answer, because many people are answering based on your knowledge, not based on the theory that we have learned properly today. So that is going to lead you to the wrong answer. But no worries, we will understand which is right answer. Okay, now time to disclose the answer. So listen carefully. Now it is a lump sum contract. Drawing shows 100 number of lighting pole. So what is the scope of work? 100 or BOQ so 10 number. So what is the scope of work? 100 or 10? Everybody. What is the scope of work contract say? 100 number. Remember the BOQ is the production from the drawing and the specification. It's like a baby. Masterpiece is drawing and the specification. From there only we drive the BOQ, right? Sometimes while you do the BOQ, so many mistakes you do. Quantity error, rate error, everything you do. That is common. So what is a high priority? When it comes to the scope of work, the scope of work defined by BOQ or drawings, any specification, which is right answer. Drawing and specification, not the BOQ. BOQ is just a baby, okay? So now we know what is the scope of work is 100. Listen everybody, okay? Don't chat, just focus. So you will understand what is the right answer. So the BOQ shows 10 number, which is not correct. The actual scope of work is 100. Now engineer instruct the omission for the entire lighting pole in the contract. So that means no longer you don't need to do. So how do you deal with that? How much omission value? This is the question, right? Now in the BOQ it says 10 number and $10. So $100 is the total value for that particular scope of work. Now let me ask you a question. Are we going to, okay, are we going to pay more than $100 if the contractor completed the 100 lighting pole? What do you think? More than $100 are you going to pay? Regardless, whatever the quantity it says on the BOQ, doesn't matter. What is the scope of work? 100. What is the price agreed? What is the price agreed? 100. So what is a lump sum standing for? Defined scope of work, defined price. So what was the defined scope of work? 100. What was the defined price? You agreed, regardless your quantity and the rate, the defined price you agreed is 100. Therefore, what is the maximum value you can deduct if you are going to not to do the work? 100. So can we say answer B is the right answer? Now let's kill the unnecessary answer. Okay. So can we say the answer B is the right answer? No. Other way around, are you going to pay back the money to the employer? Look, I didn't do the 100 poll, so I agreed $100, but anyhow, the counting is so high, so I will pay you $900 extra. Is that workable solution? Think through the common sense. Okay. It is not going to work. It is very simple, straightforward understanding if you have the common sense. If your project value is a 1 million, if you are not doing that particular work, how much you are going to deduct from the scope of a total project you are not doing? How much you are not going to get paid? Can you say there's a quantity error, it should become 1.5 million? So employer asking, you have to pay $500,000 back to me, even though project nothing happened. Is it workable idea? No. So same thing. Okay. So B is the wrong answer. Therefore D also connected with the B. So that answer is wrong. Okay. So now we have the A and C. Now let us understand what is the original scope of work, 10 or 100? 100, right? Okay. So 100 is the scope of work. So what is the agreed total defined price for this 100 scope of work? How much? Agreed. So the price, okay, price, total amount you agreed to do this scope of work, 100, right? So look, when you are doing this kind of correction, you have to bring the actual value. Okay. So what is the scope of work supposed to be 100? Okay. What is the amount you have to deduct maximum 100? So what should be the rate now? 1. So answer C is the one right answer. Now you might have the confusion. Why answer A is not correct? Yes, am I right? Most of you have the confusion. Why answer A is not correct? Why we are not going to use the same BOQ line item? Just delete it. Simple as it is. Many people think in that same pattern. If I'm right, yes or no? How many people think in the same pattern? Okay, now let me tell you why we cannot do that way. That is wrong practice. Let me ask you one question. 100 lighting pole, $100. That is agreed, no? Now you want to add another one more lighting pole. How much you are going to pay? $1 or $10? In realistic, 1 or 10? Right answer is 1, because that's what I say to you. Even though you agree the rate in the lump sum contract, it is subject to challenge. It's not a remeasure contract. Okay, remeasure contract bound for the prices. Lump sum contract bound for the amount, total amount. Therefore, if your amount is, if your rate is maybe subject to challenge, here what happened? Your rate is wrong. Say for example, either you are a contractor side, if you are claiming $10, maybe if you are getting one more quantity, you are going to ask $10 as a price, which is wrong. $9 you are getting extra, which is client side not economical to pay that way. As a consultant QS, you will not do that one. As a consultant QS, you will see original scope of work which is defined and what is the price you agreed. You are going to do the adjustment. Actually, it's a mistake happen in the BOQ. Now there are many scenario this kind of mistake can happen by, okay, contractor or consultant. Say for example, some BOQ prepared by whom? We asked the question in the previous slide. Who's preparing this BOQ? Who's preparing the BOQ? Consultant QS, right? So who did these quantity mistakes? Contractor only price the item. Okay, so he just put the rate. So quantity mistake done by the consultant. Sometimes what happen, even though contractor know it is not a 10 number, he also will do the measurement, right? So it's not a 10 number, it's actually 100. So therefore my price is 100, but my rate is $1. But since I can't adjust the BOQ which is given by the consultant, what I will do, I will adjust my rate. So he will put $10 in order to match his total amount as 100. This is if the particular BOQ doesn't have the provision to adjust it, then this is the way. Okay, otherwise a genuine mistake happened by the contractor. Who's bearing the cost risk now? You agree the scope of work and you have given the defined price. It is contractor mistake. So both way, the total sum cannot be changed. Do you understand? So only you are going to do the right adjustment when you are even omitting the work fully. Now let me ask you another question. Okay, since the people are still trusting, answer A may be a right answer. Now you want to omit the 50 number of lighting pole. Are you going to omit 50 or you are going to omit the 500? 50 number of lighting pole. You can't omit, right? 50% is 50 is a half of the scope of work. That means you are going to cut by half. So can you pay more than the agreed amount? Do you understand? So everybody now clear? So A is the mistake. We cannot do that way. So we have to correct it if you found any mistake in the post contract in a way what it is appear in the C. Okay. Now still you people have some kind of confusion. Okay. 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 So now let us have the second question. We will get some more idea. Okay. We'll get some idea. Then we will come to the reverse gear. How the question 1, okay, and 2 and 3 are connected with the theory. Now answer this particular question, please, everybody. Answer this question, A, B, C, D. I will read the question for everybody. It is a lump sum contract. Item missed in the BOQ. Okay, BOQ doesn't have that item. That is cantilever. But in the drawing, it is there. The market value is 1 million for that item. So engineer instruct, I don't want this channel lever anymore. It is supposed to be done by the contractor, but he said, I don't want. So what is your answer? A, B, C, D. Okay. So many people good. Actually, you done with the answer. Now let me ask you another question. Engineer want one more channel lever. How do you price it? A, B, C, D. Now reverse gear. Okay. We have to see the reverse scenario. If you can't think in a forward manner, think about reverse manner. How it's going to be. So now tell me, you want one more channel lever. How it's going to work? A, B, C, D. Now I have a last question. How will you get paid once the channel lever when it is installed? There's no A, B, C, D. You have to answer in a text. How will you get paid? Variation. Some people say variation. Okay. Okay. So everybody listen carefully. I will give you the answer for this. Okay. Now I believe compared to the question 1, question 2, you people get little bit improvement. Say a channel lever is part of the scope of work or not? Yes. Channel lever is a part of the scope of work. So where the scope of work is defined, as we discussed before, in the BOQ or drawings? Everybody answer the question only. Okay, drawing, isn't it? So can we say BOQ only the one defining the scope of work? No. It is prepared based on the drawing and specification. So it's just a baby. Parent is drawing and specification. Now let us understand. If you are going under the lump sum contract, do you need to do that particular scope of work which is channel lever? Yes or no? You have to do. Right. So let us understand. The engineer instruct the additional one more channel lever. Price is not there in your contract. Okay. Price is not there in the contract, but the engineer instruct one more channel lever. Now your contractor looking at the BOQ, okay, channel lever price is missed. Now let me ask you, contractor can ask additional price for the channel lever because he missed to price in the BOQ. Is it possible under the lump sum? Okay, if you say no, that is the right answer. Why? It is deemed to be included in the contract sum. Okay, because it is your risk. You didn't do it properly. You don't do the calculation of the whole scope of works before you sign the contract. That is your mistake as a contractor. That is how you have to understand. It's not a ream as a contract. Look, Mr. Contractor, I have given the drawing and specification. You told this is the price. Now you can't come and argue with me. You want the extra price because you didn't price it. That is your risk. Okay, that is your risk. Nothing to do with that one. So now coming to the question. Okay, second question. Now engineer want one more channel lever. Engineer come and say, look, contractor, in the BOQ that item is not there. So it is actually zero cost for us to do the channel lever, zero cost for us. So the cantilever that you already installed in the project, very nice. Employer like that one. Can you put 100 cantilever with the zero cost? Because you didn't put the price. It is actually deemed to be say zero. Is that workable solution? One cantilever maybe cost some millions. Okay. Now look, contractor bound to do the cantilever which is agreed in the scope of work that is in the drawing, not the extra one. Therefore, he must do it. Either it is in the BOQ or not. He need to do that. So that is treated as a variation. But let's come to the first scenario. Mr. Contractor, that cantilever which is in the scope of work, we don't need anymore. Now, contractor can say, is it the no cost impact? What do you think? No, it's no cost impact. We don't price it anywhere. So zero cost. Is it possible? If the contractor say it is no cost impact, zero cost, then engineer will say, okay, no problem. Add 10 more cantilever, zero cost. Will you do that one? What do you think? No, right? So let's have the fair and reasonable thing. So first one is the mistake. It is not there. So therefore, you have to give the cost saving to the employer. Look, even though no cost impact, omission happened, you have to give the cost saving. So that is item B. You have to negotiate the established rate. Second one, if the engineer want to instruct the additional one more cantilever, he need to pay for that one. That is a additional scope of work which is treated as a variation, which have the time and cost impact on the project. What about the third one? Nothing happened. Okay, nobody argue the omission or addition, but you get the job done. How you are going to get paid? Are you going to ask the new extra money once the work done, saying that I didn't price it? What do you think? It is deemed to be included within your contract sum. That is your risk. You are not going to ask any money. Okay, you don't have right to ask. That is how it is standing for lump sum contract. Now, still you people have some more question. What is this lump sum contract? Third question will give you some more clarity. Okay, you'll get it. And the fourth one we'll go and see. So now answer this third question. Okay, everything very sensitively. Answer this question sensitively. It is a lump sum contract. Mistakenly, contractor put the low price. Okay, on the granite is a finishing item. Originally in the contract it is 10 square meter. Now engineer found that the same granite finishing looks very nice and the price also very cheap. Okay, let's go for 1,000 square meter. Entire project now we will take it as a granite because they're very cheap. Okay, what is the answer? Now, most people are having the right answer. Some people still have okay different answer, but we will discuss. Now this question we have to be very sensitive. Okay, say what is the scope of work agreed in the contract? 10 or 1,000? 10, isn't it? So what is the scope of work? 10 square meter. Even though contractor know that is a absolutely wrong price, he need to get the job done for 1,000 only. Okay, 10 square meter, which is okay multiplied by $100 equal to 1,000. Even though market price may be double, triple. Okay, so that is part of the scope of work, no argument. Now, doing the another variation for 1,000 square meter, is it part of the contract? Is it already agreed and defined before? No, this is not agreed. Okay, and remember the quantities are bulky. It is not even 11 or 12 or 20. It is 1,000. The amount of quantum multiplication is too high. It's 100 times. We have to go for a varied rate. Okay, this is not the same rate applicable, and this is not the scope of work agreed. The project cost and time, okay, going to be changed because it's a bulky works and a lot of work to be done. So the right way is a negotiation with the new rate because that is not the original scope of work. The lump sum contract defined for the defined scope of work only, okay, not for the other additional work. Contractor can challenge, look, Mr. Employer, even though I am not challenging the rate because I already agreed $1,000, which is actually costing me $10,000. You check a market price, okay, but I can't challenge it because we already agreed. And through the total contract sum, anyhow, I will manage my contingencies. But when you ask me to do the 1,000 square meter for the same price, I will go for a bankruptcy under the Islamic Sharia law. Okay, it is not a good faith and fair deal. Therefore, the negotiating the new rate is the right solution. Okay, negotiating the new rates is the right solution. But still, remember, the answer A sometime become a right answer when come to like UK countries where the contract must follow. There's no good faith and fair deal. There's no Sharia law. They will say you agree the rate, follow the rate. Okay, this is not applicable in Gulf countries, but in other countries, yes. Say for example, somebody attending from UK or other country, European countries. Okay, they used to go for A because you agreed the price. But actually, the right answer is B. Even though UK also, the some judgment they have given for a B itself because that is not the scope we agreed and that is not the price standing for the same. Okay, but some jurisdictions, some judges, they don't know what is the type of contract. Okay, they just think, okay, you agree the rate, just pay it. But they think like a grocery item bill, right? 1 kilogram price this much. Okay, 10 kilogram how much? Do you understand what they are thinking? But technically no. Okay, technically no. That is not the right way. When you are going for a bulky purchase, say for example, 10 units. Say for example, you are going to buy a mobile. Okay, 10 mobile, 1,000 mobile. Will you get the discounted price? Yes or no? Will you get the huge purchase, bulky purchase? Will you get the discounted price? Yes. So the price definitely will change. Okay. So therefore, in the lump sum contract, okay, the works are defined and the total amounts are defined, not the rate. Rate subject to challenge. It is not a remeasure contract. Remeasure contract is the one the rate is very bound. Okay. In the next lecture series, we will discuss that one. Now, look at this point. Okay. This is like a guidance point for you. Now, omission of the item. Omission. Say some item in the BOQ are omitted. Okay. Included in the bill, but not shown on the drawing. So during the project going to be closed out, employee come up and say, look, Mr. Contractor, these BOQ line items are never happened. Okay. But you have priced it. So therefore, let's remove this price item. So the client wanted to deduct unnecessary work which is never happened and priced by the contractor under the lump sum contract. So will you omit it? Or you say yes, we can omit it? Say yes or no. You might have the different answer. Okay. So I got at least one or two answer. Yes. Okay. Now let's think in a reverse scenario. Okay. Say the BOQ showing some item but not really happening at the site, you are going to omit. Now other way around, some item shown on the drawing but not in the BOQ. Now will you pay as a variation in the lump sum contract? Because drawing so but BOQ nowhere mentioned. So shall we pay extra as a variation? Okay. What do you think? No, it's not. Total scope of work and the total price. That's it. Nothing to do with the BOQ. The another way, okay, the lump sum contract is not subject to remeasure. Do you understand? So now what we understood, the lump sum contract not subject to remeasure. The total scope of work and the total price is defined. Therefore, okay, the rate is sometimes challengeable in the contract. Okay. Now let's go back. Okay, whatever we discussed under the question 1, 2, 3 again. Okay, let us understand. Now think in the question 1. The drawing which is shows that is a scope of work, and the amount what we have agreed is a contract amount. So the rate is not a right rate, which is even appear like a right rate. So we need to change it, isn't it? If you are going for a variation. In the second one, we have understood the item scope of work included in the drawing. Even though missed in the BOQ, contractor has the responsibility or contractual obligation to do the work or not under the contract. Even though item missed in the BOQ but shown in the drawing. Yes, yes. But in the many construction practitioner do the wrong. Okay, even the contractor side or consultant side, they will argue, look, it is not in the BOQ. We never price it, so we need the variation. Is it applicable? Not applicable. Okay. So this is the problem. Many project, okay, you believe or not, many project, the BOQ missing the item, either contractor say it's a variation, okay, or employee will come and say, okay, it is zero cost. Actually, it's deemed to be included. Okay, and you have to be very clever when come to that unnecessary dispute. Anything that goes beyond the contract, which is additional works, contractor not bound by any rates because he bound by the original scope and the original price. If you are asking him to do something else, he has his freedom to decide even, right? Yes or no? Now let me ask you the same taxi driver story. You have agreed to travel from city A to B, but in between there are small city C. You want to have a small round around. If the taxi driver agree additional price, whichever you offer only, he will take it. Yes. If he not agree, will he don't agree with you additional payment. Say you agree $1,000. Now in order to visit the sea, you are offering $100. Now taxi driver asking, no, it is not a suitable amount for me. So is there any contract formed? Is there any contract form? No. Can you say to the taxi driver, look, Mr. Taxi Driver, now what I have calculated from city A to B, we agreed 1,000, okay, dollar, because it is 1,000 kilometers. Say 1 kilometer, $1. Now this city C, okay, the surrounding distance will be around 100 kilometer. So I am going to pay you $100. That's what I have come to the calculation. Is it a right argument here? Is it a right argument? No, not a right argument. Okay, because that is not part of the contract. It is not a remeasure contract. If you are having the sign of agreement that is remeasure contract per kilometer, how much? Yes, then you are going to talk about the rate. So same question, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss under the remeasure contract in the next class. You will find the different answer. So I want everybody to come and attend without missing it. Okay, so maybe you people have a lot of questions. That question, when we are discussing the remeasure contract, hopefully you will get the good idea. Okay, now I hope most of you got the more clarity on the lump sum contract. Yes. Okay, thank you. Now I have some more point to add before we are continuing with the next CPD. So let us have many people are objective to become MRICS here, right? Because I know. So many people have the object to become a MRICS. So let us have the understanding now what we are talking the advanced US practice, which is part of today program, part of the advanced US practice actually developed for RICS. And what we have discussed today, it's all about the type of contract. Stay with me for another 15 minutes maximum. You will understand how to get the proper entry to the RICS. So this is the RICS pathway guidance notes for a quantity surveying and construction. This is the authorized document that's coming from the RICS, and this is the advanced QS syllabus which we have built. Okay, so let's go and understand what is that exactly. Okay, can you see the documents? Yes, you have seen the document, right? Advanced QS practice browser, you can see. Yes, okay. Now see, you people know this syllabus what we are talking here from the pre-contract to post-contract. So let's mark only this type of contract, which is lump sum contract we have studied today. How many hours we spend? Almost say 1 hour and 20 minutes, right? Only to talk about the lump sum contract. Yes or no? Yes, 1 hour and 20 minutes minimum. It could be go maximum also. There are yet to learn so many title and topics, right? Now let us understand this particular lump sum contract. Why you have to learn? Now let's go to the RICS syllabus. Okay, this is the RICS pathway guidance notes. You can download from the website. Is there? So here, if you can see, there are 19 competency. Okay, look at here: mandatory, core, optional. The mandatory we have how many? If you can count, it will be 11. The core you have to do 6, and the optional you have to take 2. Now that is not a matter. Let's go to the subject. Okay, so see here, the mandatory is not a big deal, but when come to the core, okay, when come to the core, let's say the commercial management. Here see, the identifying, understanding the component that make up the cost of the project. So in the lump sum contract, in the next class we are going to learn about the remeasure and the cost reimbursement contract. It's going to be different, okay, totally different. If you don't have this knowledge, do you able to understand this particular part? No. Carry out the cost to completion exercise, okay, under the lump sum contract and under the remeasure contract. That is not same, it's different. Paying the payment, cost failure reconciliation, right? Different. Okay, so let's go to the further. Say for example is contract administration. See here, standard form of contract. The standard form of contract, they had either cost reimbursement or remeasure or lump sum. So if you don't have the proper idea about the type of contract, can you able to understand the payment mechanism which is embedded within the standard form of contract? Is it possible for you by nature? No, it is nowhere written. Contractual mechanism, how to do the payment for the lump sum, how to do the payment remeasure contract. Is it same? Is it same? No. Why? In the lump sum contract, you are not going to remeasure the work. You are going to get pay all the amount whichever you have quoted. But under the remeasure contract, every time you have to remeasure the work. Pricing, the variation under the lump sum contract, the contractual rates are sometimes null and void. Whereas in the remeasure contract, that is a contract. Nobody will argue with the contract rate. So therefore, dealing with the payment is one of the main area. If you don't understand the type of contract, you are out. You don't know really a QS. And dispute, because of this payment and the claims or variation, so many disputes are coming, right? Yes or no? So many unnecessary dispute. People are having misunderstanding about this principle. So many people answer the question today wrongly. Will you do the same thing in your real practice? Yes. You do the same mistake, right? If you don't learn properly. Yes or no? So therefore, it is going to be unnecessary dispute. Now think here, if you are preparing the final account, okay, if you are preparing the claims, you are going to be wrong, because if you don't know the contractual type of contract or payment mechanism, you don't know how to evaluate the variation or claims, you maybe misjudge the entitlement, right? Remember that cantilever included in the BOQ. If you don't know what to do with that one under the lump sum contract, are you going to pay extra money or you are saying it is deemed to be included? Think about that one, that knowledge where it came from. So look, meanwhile we are discussing, look at the RICS syllabus. You go and see, okay? This document publicly available. Various standard form of contract under the contract practice, basic contractual mechanism, same thing. Change control procedure, valuation, claims, loss and expense means a claim, final account, okay? Appropriate form of contract, how to choose. And if you go design economic, preparing the cost report, based on the type of contract, it is going to be different, okay? And if you go to the procurement and tendering, look, this entire topic, what we have in the advanced QS practice, all these, okay, pre-contract actually for a procurement tendering without understanding the type of contract, form of contract, procurement route, tendering, you are no longer going to understand this particular competency. Never, okay, it's not possible, okay? So let's go a little bit down. Project finance control, effective control of cost on the lump sum project and the remeasure project and the cost reimbursement project. Both all are different, okay? You can't be same. Preparing and forecasting the cost for different procurement routes and client types, different. Change control procedure under the lump sum contract and the uh, remeasure contract. Process may be same, but the evaluating the change will be different. Okay, how do you agree the price? Those are different. And if you go here, quantification and costing, schedule of activity or work, schedule of rate, are they same? Many people will say it is the same. Asking the question, schedule of work or schedule of rate, are they same? What do you think? No. Maybe some people already have the misunderstanding it is the same, but no. So try to understand. This is many people don't have the idea. Here still there are some people confusing. Really it's same, they will think, but it's different. That we are going to learn in the next class. Okay. So costing of the construction work by methods such as tendered rate. So can we use tendered rate all the time to cost the construction work for a variation, for example? Is it possible? No. Okay, be careful. Advising on appropriate, okay, method of measurement and costing, okay, methods, and selecting of appropriate pricing document. We'll see that one. Okay, and let's go a little bit down, ladies and gentlemen. If you go procurement, there are so much, okay, they are everything covered. And tendering, see, you are not going to, okay, study everything because it is very, very vast area. Okay, and if you go this particular one, okay, if you go a little bit down, the contract practice, all the things, okay, payment provision, for example, see here, all are covered in this program. Okay, now let me ask you, without this program, now what is going to be happen? A simple question. This particular contract procedure, okay, which is, let's say the FIDIC, let's say the FIDIC, okay, FIDIC, we have the book, so let's say the FIDIC, this particular red book or whatever it is, and which is covered, okay, by this particular contract or tendering, okay, whichever we have see it here. Is it possible to study by 3 hours or 5 hours? Tell me, is it possible? If you believe it, yes. Are you believing it? 5 hours or 3 hours, we can finish all the thing. Today, what we have done? Only type of contract, lump sum contract, we spend 1 hour and 20 minutes. Still, some people have the doubt. Yes, most of the people maybe will get the clear by next class only. Many people got to understand, but still some people had a doubt. So, if I am teaching you all the things whichever mentioned in the syllabus of the RICS within 5 hours, or somebody teaching you within 5 hours, is it possible? Tell me. Think practically. This is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I have introduced my program. So why I am giving that much weightage? this is we have to spend a lot of hours to study. Okay, so through this advanced QS practice, what you are doing, you are covering almost every FDIC clauses. Now let me show you how it is look like. What we have discussed today, okay, type of contract. Now this is the one subject. Okay, you can see small screen. Huh? I think it will come in a minute. Wait. Okay, see that one is a type of contract we have studied, not yet finished. Okay, there are so much study under the type of contract. Okay, now this is one. Second, form of contract, something we have to understand the form of contract. This is another one. Third one, procurement, which is very vast area. Okay, which is very vast area. So if you see here, the procurement is a very longest discussion. We have to go through a lot of hours. We have to discuss. There are so many people attended this. Okay, until we go through this, you don't understand the procurement. And tender is another process we have to learn. Okay, in order to understand what is a tender, all the things, it is another lecture series. So once you understand all the tender thing, then only you might be able to understand, okay, either type of contract or procurement which is mentioned under the RICS. Okay, this tendering process which is mentioned under the RICS, everything. If you went through with the detailed training only, you will understand. Otherwise, by learning a small amount of time, you will not able to, okay, understand. So that is the reason. Now let's go to the contract one. Okay, payment is a very vast area. If you can see the one, okay, it's go very longer discussion. If you understand the payments and if you understand the variation lecture, okay, then you will understand the mostly whichever the contract form mentioned in the FDIC 1999. Okay, all the process mostly. So this is a longer learning platform. Now what is coming under the RICS? Okay, when come to the RICS, what you learn, only the certain amount of knowledge which is they believe, okay, you have the experience and you can understand whatever, okay, it is in the syllabus. But what I am trusting, most of the cases it is not, because I am sure most of the people are not exposed to the all the detailed information, or you are not really quantity survey, you just converted from the different background like a civil engineer or a different engineer. So do you understand that is going to be a big challenge in order to get the RICS quickly. So that is how, if you can see the amount of time need to be spent to learn each and every competency, okay, it is not easy. It's regard its own time to understand each and every competency. Do you understand what I'm saying here? So many people targeting the RICS, okay, this is a way you can grab it easily. Now with that, we will continue with the next class and see you all with the next meeting.